3 days of work, and then okay, emails, and then again, and again, and again.
Wow. Well, we are live. So let's see. We don't have any viewers yet, but we are live.
Okay.
So that's super cool. And there should be some tweets going out because I scheduled them. Let's see if that works. I'm just going to go quickly and check our YouTube. Cool. So we actually do have some people watching. So I think, you know what? We're just going to start. And if people come in, it's all good. So hello, everybody. Feel free to comment and connect with us and say anything you would like, because we're going to be talking about Storyblok and how you can personalize a Jamstack website. Because Jamstack websites are generally static, right? But we can actually do dynamic stuff with that. So how about we do a round of introductions? So Alba, who are you and why are you here?
Well, I'm Alba Silvente. I'm from Spain, but since 1 year and a half ago, I live in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And I'm a senior front-end consultant at Passionate People, the company that makes possible Vue.js Amsterdam, JS World, and that conference that are so cool. And I started working here with the tech stack I love that I use for creating my own website. That is Nuxt, Storyblok, Type CSS, the things that I use daily. So for that, I'm here, I think.
Yes, exactly.
And now I can work with these technologies here. So I'm working on the Passionate People website, all the conference sites we are refactoring. So it's so cool. And I hope to help you with this way.
Well, you are definitely a specialist in all the things that I like. So it's going to be super interesting to see what you have to say when I show off our stuff. So Samuel, what's up, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Last time we saw each other in like some conference. I don't even remember
in real
which
life,
one.
I don't even remember. Anyway.
The real time is like definitely Amsterdam, like 2021, the last conference in person. But hi, everybody. It was like nice, thinking about the old good times. Whatever. I'm the Samuel. I'm here from. I'm the developer right now, like the head of the developer relations, which I'm like finding out what that exactly mean. All the responsibility. And I'm working for from Storyblok, and my story is like very interesting. I was like not planning to be a web developer. I was like always planning to be like a software analyst.
Okay.
So I was like also studying at the university for that. And I was like already doing all that crazy jobs, like insurance systems and that kind of crazy stuff, which was, to be honest, like quite boring. And somehow I landed in Germany, and I couldn't use. I wasn't so able and couldn't speak so much. And like it's quite difficult to be an analyst if you can speak the language. So I changed to web dev, and that was much more fun. You see the results finally. So I worked
look
for
at
some years.
where you are in your career. So that worked for sure.
Yeah, it's a much more fun, I would say. And after some time, I found the Nuxt, which was like the love on the first look. I mean, basically, I should call myself Nuxt developer, because I was trying the Vue.
Yeah, I guess.
For 2 weeks, or literally like 2 weeks. Then I found out about the Nuxt. I never went back to Vue.
Really? There you go.
So sorry, and then I was missing only one thing, and it was like how to take care of my content. So if you have a client and all that stuff, and that's when I started trying to different content management systems, and I found out about the headless system. I was like, this is a cool idea. I was like even thinking like I would love to build something like that, but then I found it already that somebody built something pretty cool like that, and that was the Storyblok.
Yes.
In this case. And the CEO, or Dominic, our boss, he just get me like on the board basically by the approach. I just wrote them with some minor changes, and they just implemented it in 24 hours.
Whoa, that's a nice moment to join a company, right?
So they blown my head, and then I was like instantly fun. I was ambassadoring, basically advocating for Storyblok, Nuxt, speaking on small meetups, and slowly getting to the bigger conferences.
Exactly.
And then the last year, after we get the seed round, and after existing also the company for 5 years, we just starting to hiring. So I was like one of the first employees, and now we are already like 40 people, if I'm correct, like this month.
Wow. So you're 40 people on a seed round? You must have some good revenue.
No.
Otherwise it's...
we are already had a round. So it's like
okay. So there you go. All
And we
right.
are 40, yes.
Wow, that's great, man. Thank you for that introduction. I didn't know all about all that stuff, so that's cool. So, what I wanted to talk about today is, of course, about Storyblok because I used it for one of the first times the other day, and I just filmed myself trying, and it worked so well. It's like, oh, that's very interesting. And a bunch of my contacts that I work with, they all have Storyblok working with them, and they're like, hey, but how does it work with uniform and what you guys do, and can you integrate it? I'm like, who knows? So basically, the output. Hey, Christian, let me just put that on the screen. This is my dear colleague, Christian.
Hi.
Hey, Christian, how are you, man? Thank you for joining us. And there we have Arissa.
Hi,
Thank you
Arisa.
for
Always there.
Hi,
thank you
Arisa.
for posting something. Awesome. So what I basically want to do today is kind of talk about what uniform does, at least what we do now, and we were going to be doing much more different things in the future. But we'll start with personalization and how that works in headless CMSs, because that sounds quite normal, right? It's not that normal. It's actually pretty complicated. And I'll talk about why. And I think maybe let's just start with a little presentation about what personalization is on a technical level, because there's a reason that a lot of developers don't actually do personalization, because in traditional systems that are not headless, it's pretty complicated and it's pretty hard to do, and it's pretty slow, and we have core web vitals and all the other fun stuff, right? So that's why we have headless CMSs and Jamstack sites. But so we're going to go into the future and like how can we personalize websites with Jamstack that are normally static. So feel free to comment on anything, both of you, because you are working on the other end. You're at the product, and Alba, you are actually using the product every day with all these different systems. So let's see if what I show you actually makes sense. And if it doesn't, I would love to know more about why not, because I might have to explain it differently, or we have to do a change and you then change our roadmap, right? So let's talk about personalization. But first of all, why is it actually important, right? Because I keep talking about it, but why? And so basically, personalization creates relevant content for the users, right? And so if you have relevant content, that generally makes you love a website because it's so intuitive. It does what you want it to do without you actually realizing that it's trying to do that, right? And so if you love the content of a website, generally you have a higher conversion. And what I mean by higher conversion, let's say you have a goal to buy shoes or go to a conference and buy a ticket. If it's personalized towards what you want with your goals in mind, you will have much more higher likeliness of actually buying that ticket, right? And as it turns out, based on a whole bunch of research, that is 19% more conversion. Like 19, think about it. Imagine if Amazon had 19% more conversion on their sales. That means millions a day, right? That's a ridiculous number. That is like when I first learned about this, when I joined this company, I could almost not believe what I was seeing. As it turns out, really good personalization, you don't even notice it. It's just the website fits you. And with that, you will start buying things or interacting more or commenting more or, swiping up or whatever you want to do, right? So to get to that 19%, you need to do personalization, but it also needs to be a super fast website, right? And with that in mind, I kind of want to talk about the types you can have of personalization in the technical sense, right? So initially, the first personalization, or kind of the first, came in with the suite systems. So what I mean by suites are the software, like the big monoliths that are not headless, but that have a big server with all the stuff in it, like from a front end to a database to a web server to personalization or to a whole bunch of other stuff. And we're talking about WordPress, for example, or we talk about Adobe Experience Manager or Sitecore or Episerver or all of those kind of traditional systems that we all are used to, right? The thing is, though, if you want to do anything personalization based with these systems, you have a super tight coupling to what they have intended for your front end to be like, right? If you want to do super custom stuff, it's going to take you a lot more effort to change that front end. And generally, they are rules based. So what that means is you have rules that put you in a certain group or something called a persona or a segment, right? So if the sun is shining, then I show this. And so those rules, once you get into a little bit more interesting storytelling approach, there's going to be a lot of rules. And so many rules that it's almost not possible to do technically, but also operationally. Like it's really hard for people to understand all those rules. Because what if you have 20 components that all have different variations based on personalization? And you have 6 personas that all have those rules attached to them. And then you want to add another persona. You kind of have to have a PhD in rule creating to make that work. And so that's really hard to do. And the problem is that these systems are origin based, right? Every time you hit a page, that system needs to go to its server and say, hey, what are the rules for this person? And what persona does they fit? And then let me find the right content and then render the page. And that is really slow. And so it's an interesting approach because you have everything in the same place, but it's very limited because of all this. And then the next iteration of trying to do personalization better is with third-party scripts. And this is the stuff most people will know about nowadays. It's like the A/B testy and these kind of systems that you grab a source file, JavaScript, you put it on the page, and it will change your DOM based on the user behavior. It is quite cool. It works pretty well. The only problem is that the code is in that JavaScript file and is rendered by some other system. So as a developer, you don't have much, control over it. Plus, it's render blocking JavaScript because the browser doesn't know what DOM to render, because it has to wait for that JavaScript file. And so the performance is a little bit better. Hey, let me just put this here.
Hi,
Your very first new DevRel. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the stream. So basically, these systems are pretty cool, but they are also origin-based, but it's the origin of the third party, basically. The performance is quite okay, but it's render blocking. And they do have a bunch of AI models, which is pretty interesting, but they're not super, super good because you don't have that much structured data. So Arisa, the whole Storyblok family is here. That's super cool to see. So let's go to the next one and the last one in this list. And this is where Uniform fits in, right? So we do API first personalization, which means it's kind of a decoupled system, just like Storyblok is, with a bit of SDK to connect, and suddenly it all works. And so this is decoupled, but it is first, how do you call this? Like it's not third party, but first party, because we have an NPM package. And you put that in, and because it's Jamstack, right? It all fits in one package, so the performance is not at all touched. And because it's decoupled, you can use a CMS like Storyblok or any of your competitors to kind of add the personalization in there. And we don't do rules at all. We have a completely different system that is semi-automated. So it's much easier to set it all up. So how that works, let's just go in a second. Hey, Tony, this is my dear colleague, Tony. Let's put him in here. And so if I don't know something, Tony will actually help. There we go. If he has time, it's a very busy guy. Anyways, so we went over the types. And of course, uniform is the last type because it really fits the headless world, right? So how do we do it? So like I said, we are API first. We don't have segments, personas, or rules, but we have something we call intents and signals. And what those are, I will go into in a little bit so we can kind of understand how that works. And once you know, I will demo it on the website so you instantly kind of get how that works. And so what we do, because it's Jamstack, right? We do personalization on hydration time. And how that works, I'll show you in a bit. But that means that it's super fast because all the data is there. It just has to show you a different component. And if you want to do it without JavaScript, we can also do it on the CDN edge with edge workers. And that's not really the topic for today, but we will be pushing a bit more on that soon, because we can basically have page loads under 100 milliseconds that are completely personalized with these edge workers. So you don't even need JavaScript for it. And so that's kind of awesome, but also complex. So that's not for today. I like to say that we have the fastest personalization out there, but I'll leave that up for you to see. It's not really cool to just say it and not show it. That's kind of silly. So, by the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot.
I just didn't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted to add one more point to the last slide. When you mentioned like the JavaScript personalization, there was like I don't remember exactly who told that from, but it was so mind blowing. Is like the personalization basically should boost your conversion, but if you like go too far with this role with JavaScript, it's at the end the A/B testing was usually also like working exactly other way. So if you removed at the end the A/B testing personalization, then the conversion went up because it was like so much JavaScript that was blocking.
Oh, so it was actually too slow. Yeah.
Yes.
And these are big problems, right? And we are here to solve those because we're in a world where everything needs to be fast. But also we don't like tight coupling to anything. And actually, Sergey, you have a question. Let me just put that on here. So today was about to ask, how do I cloak with Vercel? And here we go, personas. So I'm not actually sure if I understand what cloak means in the context of Vercel.
Cloak, okay.
If you guys don't know, I know that Tony is in our chat here. So potentially, Tony, if you know, would you mind replying to Sergey? And Sergey, if you don't actually get an answer now, feel free to reach out on Twitter. I know we follow each other, so you can just find my Twitter, and then we're happy to demo anything for you if you want. Okay, so let's talk about what I mean when I say intents and signals, right? So let's talk about the philosophy that we have at Uniform for personalization, and that is the intent. So generally, when you go to a website, you have some sort of goal. You have an intent to do what you want, right? And so, okay, Sergey, I see your comment. I'm going to go into it in a bit, and then we'll finish this one first. And so let's have in mind that we go to a conference. Because Alba, I know you work on conference websites, right?
Yeah.
And let's say we're doing a new conference that has a talk track for developers and for marketers. So different talk tracks, but also we have CFP, right? We want people to submit the CFP so they can speak. Well, if I'm a developer and I want to go to this conference, my intent will be to watch those developer talks, right? And so when you know the intent of a user, you can then personalize. So personalization helps users with their intent to make that goal met, right? So what we do is while you browse the website, we actually create a real-time intent profile of you. And so based on that profile that we create, based on how the scoring works against that intent that we think you have, we will personalize based on that. So you don't have to do the rules and the personas and all that stuff because it is basically semi-automatic. It's a bit of code that you do. There's a bit of content management, and combined, that will create a profile for you, an intent score. And with that, we personalize, right? So how do we know your intent? There's a whole bunch of stuff here that I will not go into now because that's a lot, but we can go about the basics, right? So we figure out what your intent is by the signals that you send. And so each signal that we catch or capture from you, we will basically change the intent based on that signal that you gave us. So let's talk a little bit about that conference website, right? So we have visitors with the intent to submit a talk. Well, it could be that they received an email from passionate people because you're in their network as a speaker, right? And it has a link with call to papers. So you might click that link. Well, that means if you click that link with the UTM URL inside, right? That means it's a super strong signal because you go to that website specifically from that link knowing you want to submit it. So you can see strength is 100. And so when you click on that link, the campaign link, that's a signal that you give to us. But it can also be that you just went to the call for papers page because you're browsing the site. And that is also a signal that you might be interested, but it's slightly less strong. It's 50% in this case. Or potentially through the Passionate People CRM system, you already had a cookie that says you are a developer or you're a tech expert. So that might already give a small signal to our system that says this person might want to speak. Maybe not, maybe they do. Let's see what else they do on the site. And so you can see we have signals that are cookies, we have signals that are browsing pages, we have signals that are specific query parameters, but we have a bunch more signals. Like going to a landing page or visiting certain things multiple times, right? And so before this goes way too long, let's talk a little bit about how the data flows in a Jamstack site. And then we'll just basically go in. But before I do that, let's have a look at the question from Sergey. So cloaking is a search engine optimization technique in which the content presented to the search engine spider is different from that presented to the user's browser. I know this one. And so this was basically one of the two things Google told you to do if you had a single page app, right? It's either you do just SSR and you make sure that Google reads the pages as SSR, or you do the other thing, the cloaking one, where you basically just do that spider, you quickly SSR some pages and make them static, and that's what you give to the spider. The thing is, I kind of don't believe in that so much. And so in our case, if Google comes to the website, we just don't show the personalized version because we can choose to do it on hydration time or on SSR time or with the edge handlers, right? So if you just choose to do that with JavaScript, the Google bot will just see your normal page and it won't be personalized for that user because it's kind of not baked in, and that's what makes that so flexible. Sergey, I hope that actually answers your question. If you have more questions, feel free to ask. So let's talk a little bit how the data flows within Jamstack sites, right? So you have this intent. We just talked about this. Let's say I want to see developer talks. Well, you send the signal, and in this case, I just have a little function here that says use behavior tracking. So you go to the developer's page where all the talks are listed. And then you go back to the homepage or you go somewhere else, and suddenly there's a bunch of components that are personalized to the fact you just gave the signal that you're interested in developer talk. And so that personalized component works a specific way, right? So it has variations, right? If you don't have any personalization, it just shows you the basic thing. And this is what Google will see, right? This is what's rendered as first variation. But we also have the developer variation or maybe the marketer variation because you went to a marketing page. And you can do many different ones. You can also have a combination of developer and marketer together because you might be interested in marketing developers talks. I don't know, whatever. You can kind of do whatever you want here. And so this is how I set it up in Storyblok. And you will see that in a sec. But you can see this is a personalized banner. This is kind of a wrapper component for the variations of default, developer, and marketer. And this is where it became so easy in Storyblok because you can just have a reference field and you can add other components to it. And that just works really well. And so you see there's the personalized banner and there's the variations that our code will then choose from when it renders a page. And so each component variation has an intent tag specified from the uniform dashboard. So in uniform, you can actually set up, this is a developer intent and we want to track the behavior. That's what you see on the left side, right? And we can add as many as we want here. And then inside Storyblok, we have the developer banner. And there is a tag connected here on the bottom, on the right bottom, that says uniform. So you see that little field? That's what I built in one day, the other day, this week. And so this little field connects to the Jamstack site, or to the uniform dashboard. Because when we hit publish, it's just on the API, and this field looks at that. So if you have multiple variations of a component and you tag them to an intent, our front end knows what to do at one point. So basically, I need to apologize. This is React code. I'm sorry. I didn't have a slide with view. We do have that, but you'll see that in a sec. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so basically, we have a personalized hero wrapper component with two components inside. So basically, we have a read variations function that gets that list of variations that we just saw, which is this list, right, of the variations. So we have a personalized component that comes from our SDK. You give it the variations, and then you tell it, when you find the right variation to show, render the hero component. And this is just a view component that you import with your page mapper that you guys have in Storyblok.
Yep.
So basically, you can also do this with slots. I'll show you in a sec. And this personalized component is smart. It just checks whatever signals were sent. It just stores it locally in memory, or it goes to, let's say, IndexedDB or cookies, whatever. It will figure out your signals and therefore your intent score, and it will show you something.
May I ask?
Yes, of course.
It's you can also define like multiple show different components there, or it's like only changing the content.
I will show you in a sec what you can do, because what it actually gives you are just the props of the component. It just gives you the JSON from Storyblok. So whatever that variation of the JSON is that you want, you can do anything you want with that, right? So basically what we do is we get the intents and signals from Uniform, and so you set them up in the dashboard, and once they are available, you can actually, or when you save them, they're available in your CMS from our API. And so when you publish, we do also another thing, because on our own CDN, we actually store a static JSON file with the whole configuration. And it's kind of strange why we would do that, right? This is my favorite image. Basically, let's talk about how we connect this in Jamstacks to make sure that this is clear, right? Because by design, Jamstack sites are only dynamic at render. Like at build time, sorry. At build time, it becomes dynamic. And the rest is static. So the only moment where you can get all the information from the CMS and from Uniform is at build time. So what we do, we have a little Uniform CLI that you just add to your project. And when you do Nuxt generate, it will actually grab that JSON file and add it to your code base. It becomes part of your bundle. So it's now part of your JS bundle. But of course, it has like your intents and signals and whatever else. We'll show you that in a sec. So on build time, it will get the data, and it will, of course, get the Storyblok data, because it has to render a page, right? It just queries all the variations. And then it builds you a site. So what this means is if the configuration is there and all your data is there, it just has to combine it, and it can do personalization on a Jamstack site. And so basically, both of these have this intent JSON with the strength, the type is behavior, and it's a developer type. And so it's very interesting to have this information to be able to render a page. So, and then you have this again. So I know I spoke like long. How about we actually look at something? What do you think?
Because no, I think it's nice what you are showing, because, for example, in the conference sites, we are personalizing each of the blocks, but not for intents or whatever people do, just because of the site. If we are in a different site, we are doing different things with the same hero. So, but what I think is you create one component for each case instead of a wrapper. Because
I'll show you, because of course that hero you might also want to use somewhere else without personalizing, right? And I'll show you how, because I do that also in the demo. Because that becomes otherwise a little complicated. So let's just so I'll show you the site. So welcome to the awesomest black and white site that is très cool, which is a completely French thing here. I like that. And so basically,
the alignment.
It's
that's right. We should update the demo, right? Like with Storyblok.
I wanted to actually take the time to do this, but I didn't have it. I just had the one day to do the whole integration field that completely works, by the way, and this demo site. Like normally our starter kits look like this. This is the Uniform conference, right? I'll show you this in a sec, because it's much more complex. Normally it looks like this. Now it just looks like the default banner. And it says personalized is false. And so let me just first click around and show you how that personalization works. So when I now go to the developers page, right? And this is the developer talk track. And on this page, you will find a lot of developer talks, blah, blah, blah. And now I go back to the homepage. And suddenly, this is now the developer banner. And so when this is shown, it has been personalized. And you can see that this boolean is now true. And so that was instant, right? There was no changes or anything, no loading. It was just personalized. So when I now go to a marketer and I refresh the page, so I go to the marketer twice, right? And go back home, suddenly it is now a marketer banner. And this is just normal Nuxt. There's no craziness going on. And to be able to debug this a little, we actually have a really cool tool.
Wow, looks nice.
Because without this, it's pretty hard. Oh wait, let me remove the overlay so you can see it better. Yeah, so basically in this thing, we have, I hope you can see it. It has marketer, developer, CFP, and some other stuff that I will talk about a bit later. And so you can see that the marketer strength is now 100 because we went to the page twice, right? And the developer strength is 50. So now that marketer is a higher score, you will see marketer on the homepage. But when I now go back to the developer page and we look at that, they are both 100. What do we do now? Honestly, I don't know. Let me check. Okay, so developer 1, because probably in Storyblok, it's the highest in the list. But if we wanted to, we can make another variation and we add 2 intent tags. We actually say this is a marketer and a developer. And then we would show that one because that matches more. And we can, of course, also just say reset the scores. So this is, look how fast this is. This is basically just, okay, let's do developer, beam. Oh, we were already developer, sorry. Let's reset. We're default. I can say marketer, set. You see, this is dynamically showing you this. So if this one is a higher score, now suddenly it's developer.
Nice. Really cool.
And so this is how fast this is. Imagine having like this whole website doing that, right? That actually shows you a bit more. Like when you go to this page, and this is a bit more nice of a demo, right? So now I have no personalization. We have developers, developers, marketers. This is a mix of talks. There's a mix of products. When I now go to developers, this is a whole bunch of stuff about developers. And I want to go back home now, take your development to the next level. But you see, the talks are now more developer focused. And the hoodies are actually, do you speak JavaScript now? I'm a developer back, developer magic one. So it all kind of changed a little.
But the look is the same.
Exactly. Yeah. But we can choose if we want to change that, right? When I now go to marketers and I go back, you see we went once to developers, once to marketers. So we are now a marketing technologist. So we now combine the 2 scores and we show marketing technologist bags. So when you look at this, this one, it is actually the debug is turned off on this one. And so if we just go only to marketers, it will show you much more marketing focus. But you can do way more, right? Let's go to a product and say we like blue hoodies. And now suddenly the whole personalization are hoodies and blue. And when I go back home, there are blue hoodies now. And so you can go to the stratosphere with all of this. And this comes from Algolia. This comes from BigCommerce. And it all just works with a nice integration. So I think we might have a new comment. Let's have a look. Sergey says, look, this is a good one to put. Thank you, Sergey.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
I can underline.
The thing is, I don't know about this website. We have had this running for a bit, but I think when we Lighthouse test this, I don't know, honestly, because I have some IndexedDB data stored. I'm not sure if this is going to be high, but generally, these score just as high as any Nuxt website. This, honestly, is a Next site, but we can also do it in Nuxt. I did it with Vue Storefront, basically, without any issues. Nice. 98 on my countryside Wi-Fi while streaming. That is not bad for a fully personalized website with products and everything, right? So let's have a look at Storyblok then. Okay, so now we're inside. And for the people who don't know Storyblok, this is more Samuel and Alba's side. It's really cool how this works, right? You can just inline edit stuff. And we can kind of like add blocks and stuff.
Sorry, you should remove the overview because it's like
it's blocking. I apologize.
Yeah, sorry.
And where do I do that? Here. That's how I do that. So we can kind of like add blocks and stuff, right? And inside a teaser, this to me is so magical. You don't see this very often in a headless CMS, that I'm basically just looking at my local host. I save this, and now I go back to my homepage on the local host. And suddenly there's my teaser, right? So this is pretty cool, to be honest. And for you guys, I know this is normal. But for the rest of us, this is not that normal. Because if I wanted now to grab my teaser and then move it up on top of the personalization, there it is. And if I wanted to change that personalized stuff, I can click on this. And then you have those three variations, right? So let's see developer. Right, so here, this is the little field that I built. And you can kind of, you see there's a developer attached now because we went into the developer banner. And we can also add, let's say, marketer against this now, or we can change it up completely. Or we have some advanced options that I won't go in too much now, but there are so many things you can do, because you can actually set a threshold. Because, whoa, my mouse is doing something. But let me refresh my page. This is just me. And my mouse got attached to the dragger. Oh, again, you might have a bug, Samuel.
Or maybe your plugin you made have a bug.
No, just plugin. Kidding. It's my no. So basically, what you can do is, I won't show this now because we don't have all the content for it. But it's very interesting to add a threshold, because when we go here, right, and you see all the information here. When I go to developers and I go back home, you can see in the score that developer here is 50.
Yeah.
But maybe you have somebody who's like a die-hard developer and goes to the page like 60 times. So if you can also set the threshold to, let's say, 200, so they have to visit the page 4 times, and then it shows that content.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you have all these types of options, and you can say, actually, let me just put it to 1,000%. So this one is now always going to show. Or you can actually say, okay, this one now I just remove the tracking. And by the way, when I click these things, this is all stored into Storyblok directly. So I had a lot of fun adding this kind of stuff into the Storyblok CMS, because I just used your UI kit to do it. And it really worked really well. I'm super impressed with how Storyblok gave me the SDK to do this. And I was able to kind of do it in a day. And what made it slow is my personal skill in how I actually do the form routing and how do I store the objects. Because the way we store objects in Uniform is a little bit different than I had in mind myself. I like arrays with objects. And this is object with object. So you don't get find function. You don't get order and sorting and all these things. So my brain was slow. But the build like this, that was very easy.
This is awesome. I don't have words, to be honest.
Well, the thing is, if you have clients asking you about personalization, the only thing you'll have to do is go to uniform.app, make a free account. Oh, I have to log in. Well, I can do that. Demo effect, right? So I have my Storyblok test project here. And here I have my personalization. And so you can see the developer, the marketer, all that stuff. Hey, Joe. What's up, man? Thank you for joining us. So basically, you can go into developer and set up your behavior here. Like you can make it stronger or whatever. And honestly, this stuff, it works super well and it's super easy to do. If we wanted to, we can just say, okay, let's do framework. Frame. Okay, and we add, let's add a behavior of a strength 75, and this is like, so, okay, so let's publish this guy. So we now go back to Storyblok. I think I need to refresh. Let's refresh, just to be safe.
I think you should refresh, yep.
And so now, if we wanted to go to, let's make a new banner. Add a block. Let's add a banner. And this banner is going to be the framework banner. Vue and Nuxt. Oh, without typos, please. And then suddenly there is framework, right? And now let's save this and publish. So now it doesn't really do much. There's just a option for the fact that we have a variation for the framework. But maybe what we can do is we can actually make a new page. How do I make a new page? There it is. I cannot type today.
That's okay.
There's going to be a normal page. And on there, we're going to add a banner. And let's just say, okay. Oh.
You always the same typo. Always the same typo.
My brain is faster than my fingers. That's when you get to this. And then, okay, so we're framework page about Vue. Nuxt is awesome.
And again.
I had my vaccine shot yesterday. Maybe has something to do, or I'm just silly. Anyways, so we also tag this thing with framework. And I will show you the code in a second. I'll show you the code to see how it connects, because now we make a page with just a banner, no wrapper around it, and we add this intent tag here, right? So let's publish this guy. And let's go to /framework. Hey, I typed it correctly. Oh.
It was framework page.
Framework page.
You can click on that.
It's my own mistake.
Yeah, you can click and go there.
Oh, sorry. I know. I should have done that. If we look at the console now, let me just zoom that a little. You can actually see that we have signals here from our system. And let me see, it received all of the information. Intents. And there is, you see all the different ones.
Can I ask a question? If you don't tag the page, you don't have any intent, or it's reading also the text of the page? For example, you tag...
you can completely choose if you want. Like you can actually, what I did now, and I'll show you the code in a second, is when you render the banner by default and you set a prop to please track this one, I will just add a little function to track it based on the intent.
Okay.
That's why this happens automatically, right? So when I now go here and say, where is my framework one? It's kind of strange. I don't see it because this is an enrichment. It's not the one I want to show. I might just quickly rebuild. This is what we call the demo effect.
Don't worry, it's happened to me all the time. I have like to test everything, and also like if I'm doing live conferencing, then suddenly somehow it's not working and the images are not loading or something's happening.
Exactly. There it is, the framework behavior. Okay, we're going to try again. We go to the framework page. Right, framework page. Next is awesome. Home. And there's our framework banner. So it had to just capture the stuff from our API to have the structure and the configuration. So basically, Alba, what you can do, what I built now is when you render the banner component normally, I just let it track whatever tag it has. But you can also have 20 components that all track a bit differently. Some track stronger than others. Or when you click a button, there's an event that can also track. So you almost code it like you code Google Analytics. Right?
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Here is my boss in the chat. How about that? You can also push intent scores into the tracker in code. So that could be any interaction, form field. Exactly, Alex. So I was about to show that actually, where you can kind of choose. You can also say in your Nuxt page, I'm just always going to track one thing. And you can do different things that way. And so if we look into the code, let's go to that banner, right, that we just saw. Can we see this? Yes. So right now, if there's a uniform tag in the banner, I'm literally just taking my uniform optimize Nuxt module, because this is injected into the context, right? And I just say track behavior. And I just get the intent tag for whatever is connected to that component, right? So in this case, what is connected to the component is the intent tag framework, with a specific strength. We can also add all these other things that will then also be sent there. Because I get that from the data model, right?
Okay.
If we want to go to that, if I want to see that framework page, let's go here. Let's just, basically, we can do this. So the intent has framework with a strength of 75. So this is what it got. And this is basically sent now. So when we go to the homepage and it shows you the personalized thing, that's the next bit, which is inside this personalized banner. What I do is I basically get all the variations possible. And I get those from the block uniform options personalization list field. I just called it this, right? That is, we have to go back to the homepage. You see this uniform variations list, that field? That is this guy. So basically, I get all the information from the block, and I just return it. I just return the image, the title, and the description, and something more specific, the intent tag. And if you have a full-blown integration with our SDK in your CMS, we will have helper functions to create your variations for you. Right? You just say, give me variants, and there's a little function that maps this data for you. I didn't have that, right? We would just put it in the uniform dev space of entity. And so basically, now I do that myself. I give this intent tag. And so here is the personalized function. You give it the variations, right? Let me just show you the variations so you can see what we're dealing with. When we are at the home page, so basically the variations are this. Oh, I actually also added an image, but I'm just not showing it in the front end. But we have the default banner without intents. Then we have the developer banner, the description, and the developer intent. And we have the marketer intent. And we have one with the framework intent. So there are actually 4 components in this one component. And we give all 4 of those to the personalized component. And it does some magic. It actually looks at all the things in IndexedDB. It looks at your cookies, whatever signals you gave. And it returns to you a variance object with the things that matched most. Because if I did this, I would get back the 3 last ones, the 3 best ones. So if you wanted to do a search result or something like that, you can also ask for more back. And I just grabbed the first variant and I give that to the banner from the block prop. So I'm kind of faking the block prop. I just give it. And I also get a personalized prop to see if it's actually personalized. And there's some other things that you can get from this context. Cool. And so basically, I just reuse the same banner. And then there you go.
So you can also like change the order of the banners like now, correct? You can like, hey, give me the 3 banners and changing the order. I can do that. That's very nice.
And it is in the end, if you go to your pages, it's just this. It's just your normal Storyblok with the bridge and everything. There's nothing else I did. And so, of course, to the components, this is your mapper. I just added the banner like you would normally. And I add the personalized banner like you would normally. And so there wasn't that much that I had to do. And so one of the bigger changes is actually in the package JSON. Because when we do a build or a generate or whatever you want to call it, we run the normal Nuxt stuff, but we also do generate intents. And so the moment you hit build, uniform will grab the manifest of all the stuff. So when you go back to the console and I scroll up a little bit, you see when I hit build, it actually grabbed the intent manifest from the uniform app. And that is actually, it saves it then in the static folder of Nuxt, which is this guy. So these are all the information that we put in the uniform app dashboard. You see, we have the dev signal, we have the marketer signal, some other stuff. And so basically, this makes it very easy because our personalization component knows about this file. It also knows about the variations that we just saw on the homepage, right? And with that combination and whatever it can find as tracking, it will personalize. And we also have Google Analytics implementations in there. So you can basically just, the moment you personalize something, it sends an event to Google. And so you can really see in your Google Analytics which things were personalized and which were not.
Cool. Really nice.
And so I think I spoke like a lot, and we went over lots of things. So what do both of you think about any of this? Does this make any sense?
Yeah, for me it makes, because for example, if you don't want to use an eye like Netflix, that you can see that they are always changing the cover of the TV show because you see another TV show, but it's obviously another thing because you are not defining what kind of intents the people used to do in your website to change anything. But for example, if we make a generic component or generic plugin in Nuxt that will read every content of every page and send the text as a tag instead of having the tag in each page, I think could be useful because you
Oh,
just read,
definitely.
you just search in the intent manifest in the who page if you have
Yeah.
some content related to that tags, and that's it.
Because actually, it's very simple. The only thing it really does is it has a list of intents in the manifest, right? And it gets the intent tags attached to components. So it's basically a list of variants, and it knows which ones to match because of the JSON file we just saw. And the only thing that it does, it grabs that array, it orders it, and it shows you the most important one based on that scoring. The algorithm to order it is really fancy. We have some super cool things going on because we have many more options to do stuff like the strength, but also the override. And we can also say, if you go to this page based on your behavior, we're going to weaken the personalization because you might not be as interested anymore. Right? There's many options, and I can send you guys some links on the more complex use cases. But you don't need Storyblok. You can just have JSON, right?
Yeah.
As long as a piece of content has a tag attached. Sorry, Sam. I'm sorry. But what I meant to say is you can honestly, the only thing it does, it gets a list of stuff that have tags attached to it and it orders it. So
Don't worry.
But it's not that visual like a Storyblok
no,
can
and
give
so
you.
that's very developer
I'm,
focused, right?
I'm not afraid. Don't worry. I don't think so that if I will say to marketers that they should use JSON, that
Yeah.
No, but this
that
is the
will
whole
that
point,
will.
right? Because we are very developer friendly. I just showed you something that I built in a day and it really works.
Yeah.
And I can click deploy now and put this on Netlify and it runs and it has a Lighthouse score of 100. And that works really well. But now, as a marketer, I can actually go to the Uniform app and click those things together. And I can go to Storyblok, and in your interface, I just add this thing and it works. So if you're a business analyst or a product owner and you have ideas about stories, you just ask the developers, can you make sure that if I add a tag to this, that it tracks something? If I add a query string, that it just tracks something. Sure, that's the only thing you do in your code. You do that once or twice, or you have a bit of an update here and there. You add your analytics, and then the marketer people can do anything they want with it because they just click it together and suddenly it works. But imagine if you want to do personalization or A/B testing. A/B testing basically works exactly the same way. I just don't have it set up now, but it's the same thing. You have two options, you have them tagged. And then our A/B test component is similar to the personalized component. It's like fuzzy matching. And then at one point it gives A or it gives B or it gives C or whatever. Imagine having other tools where you have to go into a different system and then integrate it all. And then your conversion goes down because it's so slow and like you don't really understand it, or you have to do a whole bunch of rules. But imagine you want to do, wait, let me just quickly share my screen again to show you that one part. Wait, there it is. Just not here. Like, so when we go to this one, right? Imagine this list. If you want to personalize this, imagine these are like 20. And you have a rules-based engine, not the scoring thing I just talked about. For each of those, you have to add like 15 rules to make sure that they are at least showing up for my persona with all the combinations you can do. But what if you want this one to be more important than that one? I don't think you can do that with rules.
No,
right?
it's a very cool question. We are also struggling. Like I have to say, like as a headless CMS, it's quite complex. That if you think about the headless CMS, like our target or with the people we are targeting is like from the marketers, content editors to developers to the C people who are like doing the decisions, and like to set up the homepage. It was like quite interesting talk through all of the teams. That everybody gets their something, and even like then the headless basically means we are decoupled. So like we are like supporting Next, Vue.js, React, Svelte, PHP, Swift, and again, and the list go on. And now how you should like do the documentation, like the learning hubs and all those stuff, like show to the people if you are going to show them everything, and they have to choose like, okay, I need to find that one little thing I really want to learn, and this is like quite. I have to be honest, like quite complex and quite. I would say like hell. And if I see
you
what
would
you
say
show,
hell, there you go.
yeah, it's like if you're showing me what you can do, it's like I'm okay. It's something that if I will show also in the team, they will like we want to use it now, or like I would like to use it and try it on the conference.
So you should,
definitely.
man. So honestly, reach out to me. I'll help you build that conference site. Or Alba probably will help you because she knows how to build these sites. But I'm totally happy because we can make this like how do you call this? Like this is a community effort. I'm totally happy to help you. And if it actually works and you're happy with it, you just go with like a smaller license. And if you're truly happy, you can also push this to your partners, and we can also have our partners to work with this, because I worked in agencies for like 15 years, right? And every client I had says, I want personalization. And we always said, really? Phase 15, maybe, not your MVP, not your first first release. It's too hard. And so the thing is, all these developers, they are all like, oh, personalization, I don't want to look at it. Oh, A/B test, shit, that's something for a year in. The thing is now, this can be an MVP. I literally did this in one day. Of course, it looked black and white, let's be honest. But if I spend a week, you have a full conference website with all the data from Storyblok completely personalized.
Yeah, but
you just need
did
good
like
stories,
the plugin,
right?
I mean, that plugin
I
is the
also
way.
did the plugin, basically.
Come on.
And
I know the
and I
website is black and white, but
I didn't show you all the options for the plugin because we actually have more things, because intents only help you to go so far. But what if you want to actually kind of make it a little bit more fragmented? Because let's say you go to the developers track and you like Vue, or you like React, or you like Svelte. You don't want to make intents for Vue, React, and Svelte, because then you have suddenly 4 intents that you have to do something with. It's actually more interesting to subdivide them so you can do framework and then add something to it. And we call that enrichments. So you can actually do framework Vue or framework React. And then you can have a more granular way to do it. And I also coded that into the plugin already. It's not completely finished. But what that means is you can, if you want to do that well, you remember the hoodies that we're showing you, the blue ones and the black ones? Those are the colors, are those enrichments. Those are the extra subcategories, because you might get 100 categories that you all want to personalize for. You just grab them from Commerce Tools or BigCommerce and automatically add those things into your enrichments in uniform. And then suddenly in your front end, you can personalize based on those product properties or anything that you want. And it can go pretty crazy. It can go very far. And so maybe for later, I can actually show you, we have a video that our CEO, Lars, and I interviewed him on all these complicated things, all these things you can do. And we had 40 minutes in which he just showed all the different options you can do. And so Samuel and Alba, if we actually want to work on that conference website, you should watch that. And then we'll figure out what to do, because you kind of want to have a nice story. Oh, Florent, you're a little bit late, my friend. But that's fine.
Another
Arissa
ambassador.
yeah, exactly. Welcome. The JS baguette is fucking perfect. So Arissa says, it's amazing that the Lighthouse scores are almost all 100. How long does it take for deployment? How long does any project on Netlify take for deployment with Nuxt? A minute, maybe? Like nowadays, the deployment is, well, it's if you have a lot of pages, of course, it might be hard. Or if you have a lot of code, it might be hard. But it's never longer than 5 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, it's depend on the like how many pages do you have.
Yeah.
You can still like
Exactly.
cut a lot of stuff from it, and like the features depends also the features you are deploying. But usually, like you would have to give like few hundred or thousand website pages there that it will be like any minutes, literally.
Yeah, and we are quite specialized in that deployment phase of things because we also have some other sort of products where we really use that a lot. So it's really optimized what we do. So when we do a demo to, let's say, a partner or a potential customer, we actually demo it so it goes on Netlify automatically. Right. So while we demo, it actually deploys, and then we click around and show some stuff, and then we go to Netlify and it's just deployed.
Yeah.
And so that's how fast that goes.
Yeah. What is also like cool is you build that plugin, and I like you show also like those hoodies with the BigCommerce, and this is like what is awesome about the Jamstack. Like in Storyblok, we just have the integration with the BigCommerce and other e-commerce tools, and you just can like create a component in Storyblok where you will integrate, you will you will use the integration to BigCommerce and also the integration to Uniform.
Exactly. Two custom fields done.
And it's exactly done. It's you don't have to do any field else also.
And this is how we did it also with that demo I showed you with the hoodies and stuff. Honestly, that is just exactly how you explained it. We just, for that one, I think we use Contentful just because we could. Any CMS that has components that can be referenced, I'm up for it. Call me. We'll figure it out. No, but honestly, now that I noticed how good your SDKs are to build components and build, those custom fields, I did that so fast. I will spend a bit more time to make a proper starter kit. So when you guys want to start with it, you just clone that Nuxt repository and it just runs. And then I will already connect it to Storyblok. Because there's not that much to it if you want to connect Nuxt to Storyblok, and there's not that much to it to connect it to Uniform. The one thing I still want to do properly is to actually make it a Nuxt module. You just do npm install and everything works. We are not there at the moment because our software is changing quite a bit because we're a young startup. Yep. We move very fast. We do really cool stuff. There's a reason I joined these guys, man. And I thought I was a pretty good developer, but connected to these guys, I'm like, oh my God, let me just do demos. Let these guys actually code. Like they did in 2 weeks what I did in another job in a year. It's ridiculous.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know that feeling, right? When Dominique codes something, you're probably like, oh, okay. Yeah. I have that too. And I love having that because you learn so much from these guys. And I have other things, like I've worked at agencies and I work with enterprise, so I can give feedback based on that, which is also valuable, right? Do you guys, we are in for like an hour now. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to see more about Storyblok? Do we maybe want to show how to add a component to Nuxt and show it in Storyblok? Does that make any sense? Or because we still have like a bunch of people watching, so if anyone wants to know more about Storyblok, I'm happy to do that. Or if not, do you guys have anything you want to discuss?
I'm like a little without the words. It's like what he showed in the 1 hour is like like mind-blowing talk, to be honest.
Yeah,
or
cool.
any conference. And even like if I see all the integration, I mean in generic, and you can integrate with any headless CMS basically. And this is also like what I love on the whole Jamstack. Like we are able to integrate between each other, even like if you want to go from a Storyblok to a different headless CMS, and even like what all the features are coming, like the real-time editing in the Storyblok that you can see the live previews. And
this is something special, man. I love that part.
And now we also introduce you think it's all the time there. So this in context menu, like these 3 dots. And that's just added 4 weeks ago, I think. So you just before you just started to play with the Storyblok demos, I think it was added into the next module. And this is also something I'm really, really, to be honest, I see a
Let's
lot
have a
of
look
ways.
at that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's like also a lot of ways to make it like more powerful, like exactly to do like maybe to.
You mean this, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
This
And
is
I
nice.
honestly see there's still a way to that. I'm not going to promise, but I'm just working on that. That there could be like some customizable part of it. So, for example, if you want to open directly a uniform instances, then you will just click on the three dots and it will jump to that field, to that plugin.
Yeah, this kind of things.
yours.
You can do so many things now, right?
Yeah. And that would be so cool to like see those integrations that we can build and in the
Yeah, but this actually like, and also what I love about it, like let's not save this.
Yeah,
I
it's
did
the
some
other way
crazy
around.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
that-
That's
You
this
need
is my
to
working
read.
that.
Yeah,
We are working
it
on that.
happens to me all the time.
Okay, well that makes sense because that happened to me like every time.
And
So
it's happening to me. We have a feedback. The new design is already ready for it.
Yeah,
It will
it
be
just changes. Dude.
awesome. Because what makes it so easy for me is like I just go to, let's say, my banner, and here I say, okay, here's my uniform field. But in a page, I don't have that field. So you can kind of easily choose how to make your data model. And then when you're editing, you can also change your data model. It's just so easy. And another one, like here it is Tim praising you because you have a partner portal that just opened up to me and it just worked. And I can go to my field type, and here's my uniform field. And it just works. Let me just start my local developments. I'll show you.
You should also like remove the overlay because a lot of stuff is still on the side of the Storyblok. So now it's like hidden.
Oh, my overlay is
Sorry.
back. Let me no, it's fine. So wait, let me just go to uniform Storyblok. So this is my feature for the enrichment branch. So let's see if this works, right? So maybe I show you the console. So basically, let me just zoom in a little. So if you want to actually build this component, you get this lovely build tool here. And I can just say, okay, show me the output of what I'm going to store. So when I click on something, here, there's the framework one we just looked at right here. And then there it is. And if I just start changing the options to make this 100 and add stuff, this model is stored. And now this is saved in Storyblok and it just works. Like having just this little thing, the way I can code this, and if it's finished, I do npm run build, I copy paste my output, paste it in here, and this is now my plugin works, right? And so I've been adding another one. This one is good fun because potentially those enrichments, like here's the hoodies, right? There can be lots of different colors. So I can also just check that you can choose more. And I can also choose all the frameworks. And so now we have it like this. And I can add an intent tag, and then my output is filled. And so I've been having like really good fun trying to build this stuff like that. And this is local dev mode, right? Go on.
Did you use our design system already for it?
Yeah, it's UI kit of it's your system basically.
Yep.
Right. If we inspect this one, you can see here. So this is UK with the UK form row. All of this stuff is specifically your tool, right? Here, the UK form label. And that's why this is so easy. I almost didn't have to build any HTML or CSS. It just worked.
There's I have one cool feature for you, by the way, I think for this.
Oh, tell me.
So if you go to Storyblok, show the screen, please. And I think that I hope it will work, but this is like really also great for your users. So just go to any story where you have those banners.
Okay, let me just go to my. Do I go back to HTTPS? I guess.
That shouldn't be a problem, hopefully.
I guess. Okay.
And here.
Oh, I need to load my thing again. Give me a sec.
Yep.
Yeah, here it is. Fast enough. I think it's still building.
It's building. Yeah. Sometimes the initial build is taking some real longer time.
This is just Nuxt. It is what it is.
And if you go to personalize banner on the right side, there is like open any of the banners, whatever, like this whatever.
Yeah.
And now go to the define schema, but click on that arrow on the right side. So not on the button, on the arrow. And there's
Define
different
presets.
presets.
Okay.
And different presets, basically, you can create a templates. So like variants of your existing of your existing component. So let's call it like this a developer banner, and just add a preset. The button down there, like add preset, and I think like you can set it as a default also, the preset, and that's it. So and now
save
schema. Yeah, save schema. I think it's change of the schema still. And now if you go back to the personalized banner and go to create add block, you have only one. So if you click the so it was banner, So by default, the new banner should be set up same as the one we did. So maybe create one more preset.
Yeah, let's create another preset. So off a banner, right? So we're gonna define presets, and then we call it marketer. And do we just maybe change some content or something?
No. Just you cannot change. Sorry, this is just a preview now.
Okay. Add presets. Oh,
yeah, you have now two. You can choose one as default and save schema on the top or whatever you want.
I cannot save it.
No, you don't hit. Then it was only because of the default preset. That was the change of the schema.
Okay, so now, shall we just remove this one again? Oh wait, this one is new. Yeah.
And just
add block. Oh, look at that. That is really fancy.
And now you click the developer banner, then you already set up your uniform fields, if I'm correct. So it should be already set up with the developer. And then you theoretically also
There it is. Oh, there's another one. I'm intrigued. I don't know why, because this is probably my bug.
Or maybe our bug. Who knows? Like, who knows? It's hard to say like from the view of the screen. So I would have to check the code. But what they wanted to say is like some people could be like a little bit scary of that. Okay, let's say that we just set like here is a banner, and anybody who is editing the banner could set those personalized values. So the intents of the developer, like it's 150 year. So what you could do in Storyblok, you could hide the uniform banner, like the uniform setup field for all the content editors. You could create a special role who will be able to set up those numbers.
Okay.
And then basically using these presets or templates, you could also create it like different, like strong developer store or whatever. And then people will be choosing already only from these presets. Like the people who create.
To be honest. And what I like about this is that you guys are going a little bit towards the enterprise level, right? Where people might want to start doing this. Because sometimes I'm so surprised by content editors that don't really know much about the web. They just know how to write, but I don't want to be clicking around, right? And so these kind of tools will definitely help. And I think we might still want to have it as flexible as we can. So we probably would still put it in. But the fact that you can do it with those presets, that's impressive. I like it.
So the point is also like sometimes the components get very complex. And it's also like exactly as you said, like if you have like, let's say you have a junior content editor or marketer, you don't want to probably let them to play with these intenses and signals and all the valuation. So that's the point where you like create like, hey, you can do this, and you don't see these fields because there is a reason for that.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I like that we can do that, and that you have at least the options, right? And so with Storyblok, do you guys also have like, now I'm thinking more about how we can use this, right? Because what we have at Uniform is also, we have some sort of scaffolding setup. Wait, I'm just gonna have to show you again.
I'm just thinking that the presets are the same as the templates in Notion, because you can add tags and the initial content of the component. So
we should ask ourselves. Maybe we should rename them to templates, because also like clients are usually asking about the templates.
Really? Presets. They call it like that because in Notion are called templates. For that, it's funny.
Oh, cool. So what we actually have, and now I want to ask a bunch of questions on that now that I have you guys. Like we actually, if you want to create a new project, right, and let's call it, right, and we're gonna just go like this, continue. We actually have this magical
Beautiful.
button thing here, right? So we can now say, well, there is no story block here, but it could be
Should be.
here. Because what we do
So
now
be.
is, let's say, I'm not sure if it's going to work now because I've exhausted all my content stack items. Let's say I click content stack and I want to go to Netlify.
That
No,
wouldn't
you know
happen
what?
with Storyblok.
I know, my friend. I'm just kidding. Let's go Contentful, Netlify, Nuxt, and Analytics, right? Continue. Now it's going to ask me to log into Contentful. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Let's be honest. Let's do this one. So create a space in Contentful. Okay. So this is make a new. Yeah, you see, I'm not able to do it because I don't have spaces in Contentful. But what this would do basically is it creates you a new Storyblok instance. And then, okay, don't create a space, please. But then it installs my plugin that I just wrote. And then it installs starter kit content. And then if you continue these steps, which I cannot do now, sadly, but what we basically do is then we create for you a GitHub repository. We create for you a Netlify site. And in the Netlify site, because Netlify has setup templates, right? So we actually use all the environment variables that you need from content stack or Storyblok or whatever. We get the API keys, we get everything. We put it into the environment variables in Netlify, and we do a deploy. So in 5 minutes, you do click, 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 click. You log in with all the things. You have a Git repository. You have a CI stack running. You have a website live, and you copy paste a build hook into Uniform. And every time you change a Uniform personalization or A/B testing and you hit publish, it rebuilds your website on Netlify. But it's also already connected to Storyblok. So when you click publish, that webhook is fired off and it will actually also redeploy. And this thing works like magic for a lot of people who just want to get started, right? And so if you guys these type of APIs, so we can scaffold a new Storyblok for a user or create an account right there and add content to it with like management APIs. That is super cool stuff.
Yeah,
but
we have, of course.
It's, well, of course, not a lot of people have this, of course. It's pretty cool that you have that.
No, it's how the demo is working in the Storyblok. If you are working, building the Storyblok demo, then basically you can set your the space. But this is like the only like a really like hidden feature behind. We have to do it manually, and then we can set some spaces as a template basically. And so like we have some internal discussions how to do it. The only problem could be like I'm not sure if it is secure and allowed to get API through the management API, like API token. You would probably maybe have to like create some access token. The step like, hey, put here the token. I'm just looking at it.
You log in first with the user, so you would give the token to the user anyways.
Yeah, exactly. We'll
right,
get
so
that.
These things are very interesting, and we can have a look together if that could work. Of course, our roadmap is ridiculously full. I'm not going to say, hey, let's do this next week. But the thing is, if we have partners that ask about Storyblok, these things are possible. But if you have clients that says, hey, we want to personalize, how do you do it? Just come to us and we partner on it and we do it. Because you saw, it just worked. And if you want to do this in React, we can also do that because we have SDKs for all of this.
Yeah, I think like I'm going to definitely put this video on the Nuxt technology hub, and
yes,
I'm really looking forward also to that integration. Like we have a lot of plans. There's like a lot of to-dos. A lot of stuff is now hanging a little bit behind because of the V2, like the redesign. So
yes,
in the
exactly,
app,
because you keep telling me you have a redesign, but I haven't actually seen it.
There is a demo link, which I'm definitely not using. So I would also like show you.
You can share your screen and I can put it on the stream. It's all good.
I will have to find out where is the demo. And give me a second. I will just find out. Could you? I'm very good developer. I forgot where is the demo link or the version 2. That's great. So how is that? Was beta?
By the way,
skills.
while Sam is looking for his demo link, if anybody has any sort of questions or whatever, please feel free to put it in the chat.
I will have to get it, maybe, or maybe not. So give me a second.
Sure, no problemo. We're here hanging out. I finished my drink. Now I need beer, I guess, but it's too far away.
Oh, we have some time. You can jump.
Yes,
you can go for it.
No, go for it. Can you find it?
Maybe I can find it. Everybody's like nobody's live. I'm looking on the Slack, so there's like nobody to help me.
There you go.
Absolutely. I have it. I have it. Yes, I think I have it. Yes. No. Is it?
Yes. No.
It's called beta, but it's not version 2. So where is that? No. Oh, I don't have it.
You know what? It's all good, dude. I'm very happy to see that later. And what I'll also probably do is what I just showed you today in a long time. I might make a shorter video so we can actually maybe collaborate on that together, and we can put that on the channel. So you can have that as a reference also for maybe potentially people who want to use this stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. So, I really see a lot of like, especially there are a lot of people or a lot more of the customers asking about e-commerce and headless e-commerce. This is something they will be very, very interested in. So really,
this is awesome, man. Go on.
And about the V2 of the API. So I just make a little bit ad. So there will be like Storyblok event at I think the date will be like at the end of the August or like first days of September, and we will like show something there. So what and why, and then hopefully we will also announce the date when it will be released on the event. So you should definitely join.
Waiting.
I will definitely join. Also, reach out to me if you want to do personalization on that conference website.
Yeah,
let's make it. Let's make it happen. Let's make it a community effort.
Because and it would be great them also. Yeah,
exactly.
With the next Storyblok. Cool. Finally, I will be coding something
yes.
real.
I will just let you code it, and then I just watch from the sidelines. I think that's the best approach. All right. So I want to thank both of you and all our audience that actually was here for like 1 hour and 22 minutes. And we still have a bunch of people watching. So I'm really appreciative of everyone and also of your time, both of you. Thank you for joining and giving me the opportunity to show you some stuff that I hacked together that luckily worked. It's pretty cool that it worked.
So cool.
So thanks again. And I hope to speak to you very soon.
I hope so too.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Cheers, everybody.
Great. See you.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.